non-toxic cleanup for oil paints. Hi, I'm Jenvey, and I'd just like to share some information with you that helped me as an oil painter. For about 16 years I used a regular high quality oil paint, but towards the end of that time I was getting severe headaches every time I painted, and I presumed it was the terps that was causing it. In fact, I know it was. So I modified my situation. I painted during the summer with the doors and windows open, and I moved my cleanup station outside as well. And it didn't help. I still got quite nauseous and headachy with the terps being the fumes, I guess, resonating through the room. And I thought it's not healthy for me or anyone else that visits or my pets. So I did some research and I came across a few brands of non-toxic oil paints, and I decided on this one, which is M.Graham's, made in the US. And the vehicle that carries the pigment is walnut oil, as against linseed oil in regular oil paints. And so the cleanup is non-toxic because you just use walnut oil as well. So I'm going to share with you now my cleanup process. And I love painting now because I don't get headaches anymore. So I'll share with you my cleanup. The cleanup for these paints is non-toxic, and they manufacture the pure walnut oil for your cleanup. So as the vehicle for these paints is walnut oil with the pigment, the cleanups with the walnut oil. And I decanter it into a nice wide mouth jar just to make it a bit easier. So when I'm finished painting, I just get my palette knife and just gently remove a bit of excess paint. It actually gets quite a bit out onto the palette as I'm cleaning up. And then I get some paper towel and just wipe the excess off, and then dip it into the oil. Just drain it a little bit and clean it off in the paper towel again. I do that 2 or 3 times just to remove most of the paint. And this way it keeps that oil reasonably clean. You could just swirl around and wash it in there quite well and let the paint settle and pour a bit of the oil off, but I just prefer to do it this way. So when you've got to the stage like this, it's reasonably clean. Okay, that's quite good. I now will move to the studio sink to finish. Well, now we're at the sink, and I put on a rubber glove and I use dishwashing liquid. This is a very mild detergent, and basically because the paintbrush is hair and the paint really is mostly oil with a bit of pigment, this is the best thing to get it really clean. So I just pop a little bit in the palm of my hand and swirl that around and get the residue out and rinse that off like so. And I'll just do that once more. Don't need as much the second time. Just get that really nice and clean. It depends, if you're using them the next day, you probably don't need to get them super clean, but if you're not using them for a little while, then the brush cleaner is absolutely amazing. So nearly every day I still finish with a bit of that, just to get that last bit out. Just give it a really good clean. You might want 2 or 3 goes with that even. Depends. and then just rinse that off really well. Squeeze it out, and then I just reshape it nice and flat. And then the most important thing is next to lay it flat to dry, because if you leave them upright then the moisture can drain down into the metal ferrule and rot the wood. So always lay your brushes flat after you've washed them. And there you've got a lovely clean brush. And no smell and no mess. And no headaches. It's fantastic.